All right. Hey everyone. Well, today's a different kind of video. I've never done a video on Bitcoin on this channel. Um, but I like eh, all my videos. I would say if you looked at the channel, almost every video is about theology. And I have so many interests. I've been wanting to do kind of everything. Hey, let's start a channel, a different channel talking about beards. Let's start a different channel about exercise and fitness and health, different things like that, or finance. Just because I've got a lot of interests in if I had my way on YouTube, just do a channel talk about everything and anything, but you can't do that on YouTube. You have to talk about one thing, and you really should narrow it down and do kind of what Leighton Flowers does. You should talk about Calvinism and exclusively that and only that, and then your channel just explode if you do a really good job of it, really. And over here, we're not professional over here. I'm not. And so, I kind of just do whatever I want. And today it's talking about Bitcoin. I saw a video because I was thinking, hey, is there any YouTubers I know that have talked about Bitcoin? Well, no Christian YouTubers really talk about it that I'm aware of, except for AD. Good old AD Robles talks about Bitcoin, and he is wrong. This video is like 2 years old, and what's happened the last 2 years with Bitcoin? Basically, I think it stayed about the same, depending on your time in 2022 or so. But I'll bring up his video here. And AD's talking about what old AD doesn't understand Bitcoin. He's talking about selling Bitcoin, which means, AD Robles is pretty familiar with, I would think, Bitcoin. In the comment section, there's probably like one or two people here. Hey, do you own any Bitcoin? Do you know anything about Bitcoin? First off, and we'll go from there. Let me know in the comments section. Hopefully people kind of filter in a little bit in with that. Let's listen to what he has to say here.
So I guess it must be a day that ends in Y, huh?
Okay.
Yesterday, somebody was responding to me mentioning Bitcoin on my channel, and they said that the reason I don't like Bitcoin is because I don't understand it, and I need to get some lessons in the fundamentals. So I guess it must be a day that ends in Y, huh? No, I'm just kidding. No, but you do hear that argument a lot. Like if you're not all in on Bitcoin, typically.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, you just don't understand it. You just don't get it. We hear that a lot of places. We hear that in with Calvinism. Hey, you just don't understand Calvinism. You don't understand whatever ideology. Federal X theology. Hey, brother. Hey, Federal X. I'm trying to think if you've been on the channel before, if we chatted before, but yeah, I'll have to go check out your channel here sometime. But we'll keep going.
The response is, well, you just don't get it. You don't understand Bitcoin. And my response to that is, you're probably right. Maybe I'm just too much of a dum-dum to understand why you would want to digitize your wealth. I must just not get it. And I'm not saying this to be funny.
To be fair to good old AD, has he studied Bitcoin? I think he has. He'll mention Michael Saylor here, who is kind of the godfather. I mean, he is the if you want to listen to someone talk about Bitcoin, you probably talk to him. You probably listen to him, and then you listen to Raoul Pal or something. He's got a mouth. He cusses a lot. If you find him on the right channel where it's more clean, I guess you won't hear the profanity and stuff. But oh no, Bitcoiners are a bit like vegans and CrossFitters, if you get what I mean. Are you saying it's a cult, Jammy Starfish? It's kind of like a cult then? Hey, maybe it has some of the characteristics of a cult. Maybe Bitcoin, to some folks, is a religion and stuff, right? I don't know that I'd argue with that. In Montana, though, vegans, you don't say vegan in Montana unless you want to get run out of town. That's for sure. But I think AD knows about Bitcoin. I think he knows the basics, and then some. If you were to invade the channel or something, he could probably educate me. He could probably educate a lot of us on Bitcoin. I bet you. That'd be my guess. And I don't know how much he's talked about it, or how familiar he is with it. But what's the basics of? They love to talk about it. And yep, that's exactly right. I had deeply invested in VeChain before it was Christian. I've never heard of VeChain before. That's probably a cryptocurrency, maybe? I don't know. Uh, but the basics of Bitcoin, there's 21 million Bitcoin, no more, no less. There'll never be more than that. There'll never be less than that. About 20 million of that is in circulation, I guess you could say. And a million of that has yet to be mined. It'll be mined over the next 100 years or so. Uh, and so there's something called Bitcoin mining, where 900 Bitcoin were mined every day until the halving that just took place a couple days ago. And now it's cut in half, and 450 new Bitcoin are added to circulation every single day. And eventually, 4 years from now, there'll be another halving. That 450 will turn into 225, until basically it's zero and there's 21 million Bitcoin. And then a chunk of Bitcoin has just been lost forever. No one knows where it's at. It's out in cyberspace. People lost their keys and everything. And a big thing that prevents people from buying Bitcoin is, oh, hey, there's all these stories of people forgetting their passwords. They've got $1 million worth of Bitcoin. They forgot their password. They don't have their keys, I guess, and now it's lost forever. You hear stories about that all the time. Uh, and so there's a lot of people who, well, that's just a non-starter for Bitcoin. But let's keep listening to them.
I don't get it. I'm admitting it. I don't understand why I would want to buy Bitcoin in any, large amount. I've said this many times, like, I'm not anti-Bitcoin. If you want to, digitize your wealth, then that's completely fine by me. Doesn't hurt me in any way, and all that kind of stuff. And I have a tiny little bit of crypto, which I'm thinking about dumping, even though it's just a little bit. I kind of had it almost like just as like fun money, like a gamble kind of thing. But I think I might be out. I think I don't want to even participate in any way anymore. I just don't get here. I'll be honest about some of the things I don't get. I don't get how it's all that decentralized. If one province in China's electric grid goes down, and because that one province in China's electric grid goes down, the price tanked because they didn't have enough mining power or whatever. But I probably just don't get it because it's just
Bitcoin's very volatile. China, a while ago, I don't know how long ago it was, announced them banning Bitcoin, and Bitcoin, the price just plummeted. It just tanked over that kind of news. And so it's very volatile. Bitcoin could go down. You had the Israel stuff going on, Israel fighting against Iran, and Bitcoin went down. It was like 6%. I mean, it just tanked. And then it came up a bit after, hey, World War III didn't happen. And so why would a person want to own Bitcoin though? Hey, let me answer that question, right? We could wake up tomorrow and the Fed could be bored and they could say, hey, look, we're bored. Let's go print $30 trillion just because, it seems like they do that every single day with what's going on in the world. I mean, there was the COVID pandemic stuff, and people just spent tons of money, insane amounts of money, and devalued the US dollar. And so, there's the Michael Saylor has the interview, and he bought a ton of Bitcoin. He's famous for, he had a $500 million company, or not $500 million company. He had $500 million basically to say, hey, what are we going to do with this 500 million bucks? And it was after all the fun money, all the free money went out, right? That what Trump and Joe Biden gave us, and Congress passed. And so what's going on in the world is that you've got inflation going on. And in his mind, it is that $500 million, give it some time, a few years, and it's going to turn into, the buying power is going to be $400 million. And so in his mind, what is the best way to protect his $500 million from devaluing? Bitcoin, essentially. And with Bitcoin, again, there's 21 million Bitcoin, never more, never less. The government can't wake up tomorrow and say, hey, let's print 21 million more Bitcoin. And so after inflation, a lot of people I think are waking up to what's happening to the US dollar. Um, it's illegal, it's unconstitutional for the government to wake up tomorrow and say, "Oh, hey, let's go just seize someone's house. So let's go take their house, their property, whatever it is, their land." That would be unconstitutional. That would be frowned upon. That'd be they probably do it from time to time, but that would be very difficult for the government to do. But total depravity is a thing. And what does the government do? Politicians aren't that dumb. They know exactly what they're doing half the time. Uh, so what do? Oh, hey, look, let's just print off $30 trillion. And effectively what's going on, they're seizing your $1 million in your bank after the government prints their $30 trillion. Well, your $1 million is now worth $500,000 or 900 or $700,000, so to speak. And so essentially what they've done is they've seized a big chunk of your money. And and that's what we're seeing really in this country. And so, if you're a Bitcoiner, what's part of the conversation that should take place? Well, is the government going to become more responsible in the future, or are they going to be more irresponsible in the future? In the future, is the government going to cut spending, raise taxes, and increase GDP by cutting regulations? Well, honestly, the odds of that happening is zero. The no Democrat is ever going to support that. And your Republicans, some do. Donald Trump doesn't. He doesn't want to cut any real spending. He doesn't want to cut any entitlements. That's for sure. He's made it very, very clear he doesn't want to touch Social Security as well. And so in the future in America, what's going to happen? You're going to have a lot more spending in this country. Bernie Sanders, when he was running for president, uh, hey, he's the most extreme person that we could point to, right? He wanted arguably like a 30 trillion to 60 trillion dollar budget over the span of, what would it be, 10 years or so. And that's a big range, 30 to 60 trillion. But he wants to, hey, we're going to provide housing forever. We're just going to print a bunch of money and provide for everyone's needs, that kind of thing. And that's the way that the Democrat Party is built. If you listen to Joe Biden, to the State of the Union speech, right? No one listened to it, let's be honest, right? But Joe Biden is talking about, oh, hey, home prices, they've skyrocketed, if you haven't noticed, right? And so what does the government need to do? We need to give everyone a bunch of free money. First time home buyers should be given by the government, I guess. It'd be a tax credit. There we go. A tax credit. We'll give them 5,000, 10,000. Really, the sky's the limit, honestly, when it comes to that, dollars to buy their first house. Well then, hey, your first time home owners, they feel left out. And so Democrats don't stop there. They want to give free money to first time homeowners who already own a house. In other words, they just, rev up the money printing machines. And then, hey, and on top of that, we want to give everyone free college and all that too. And then you have all these immigrants coming over, and we want to print, rev up the money printing machine for them. And then the House just passed, what was it, $100 billion. Hey, let's just give away $100 billion. Why not? We're bored, is probably what the politicians are thinking. We need some entertainment. Hey, Ukraine, you get what, 60 billion? How many billion did Ukraine get? And then Israel gets a big chunk too. And then Taiwan and I think some other nations surrounding China in the Pacific you get money too. We're kind of like Oprah. Everyone gets their free money. Well, what's going to happen to the value of the dollar? The value of the dollar is going to tank. And what's going to happen to the value of Bitcoin. The value of Bitcoin is going to go up. Just book it. Hey, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm just a person on YouTube. Take it for a grain of salt, but the value, the value of the US dollar, it's becoming worth less over time. The value of a Bitcoin is becoming worth more. And over time, we shouldn't be stagnant. We should develop new skill sets in life. We should always be learning. And so what you ought to do, if people who are listening, all two or three of you, is hey, go research, go look at Bitcoin, go what look at the Bitcoin papers and who founded it, and look at the arguments for Bitcoin, look at the arguments against Bitcoin, and see, hey, are is it very convincing either way. We'll let AD talk a little bit more.
Too complicated for me. I don't get that. I don't understand that. I don't get how it could be such a good idea to have a electric currency or electric wealth when people are getting canceled left and right. Yeah, you can't track the crypto. I get you can't track the crypto. At least that's what they say. But you certainly can track access to the internet. You certainly can track electricity and stuff like that. I don't like the idea of being that easily cancelable. Now, I'm not.
Yeah, and so one of the arguments for Bitcoiners is that you're uncancelable, basically. You could think of Conway West. Not too long ago, the banks just canceled him, right? Even did some of Trump's banks cancel him too? I think I heard that as well. And so an argument is, well, go buy Bitcoin, and you're not. What's the word I'm looking for? You can hold your own Bitcoin, and so if Trump had Bitcoin or Kanye West, they could hold it in their own digital wallet, and a bank can't cancel Trump or Kanye West. That would be an argument for Bitcoin as well. So, if an argument, a basic argument, I used to listen to Steve Leto. He's got a really cool show, Leto's Law, and he'll talk about civil asset forfeiture. And so if you're in the United States and you travel and you have a suitcase, and I always just grab a duffel bag, actually. A duffel bag, throw in some clothes, not even that much, and bam, you're gone. And that's all you need. Well, if you said, "Oh, hey, I've got $5,000 or $10,000 or some gold bars," what's going to happen when you go through the airport? The airport is going to confiscate money. If it's 5,000, 10,000, $100,000, they're gonna confiscate it. It's gonna be civil asset forfeiture. They're gonna take it. If you got your gold bricks or gold bars, they would take that as well. Which, hey, that's unconstitutional for them to do it. But they're going to do it anyways. They're going to call it civil asset forfeiture. And how can they do it? Well, we don't think you were involved in a crime, and hey, you're innocent until proven guilty. We don't have any evidence. We don't have any probable cause. There's people travel with money all the time, right? Just because you have $5,000 or $10,000 doesn't make you a criminal. If everyone who had $5,000 or $10,000 was a criminal, I mean, that would just be illogical. But the charge would be, oh, hey, we suspect that maybe that $10,000 in cash or gold, we think is involved in a crime. And so we think the money's guilty is how civil asset forfeiture goes. And you have to go and prove that the money is innocent for you to get it back. And you have to go hire a lawyer, jump through all these hoops to get the money back. And good luck trying to get the money back. Well, with Bitcoin, you don't have that problem. You jump in an airplane, you go any state or halfway across the world, they're not going to take it. Whereas if you jump, and it doesn't matter if you have, $1,000 in Bitcoin, 10,000, $1 million, $1 billion in Bitcoin, you just go wherever you want, and they're not going to seize that asset. If you throw in, I don't know, $1 billion into a bunch of suitcases and jump in the airport, they'll seize it. Just book it. They'll seize it like that. You probably have to do it privately, I guess. But I heard a YouTuber, a Bitcoiner, I guess, saying that you can transfer $2 billion of Bitcoin, I guess anywhere you have internet, or computer, uh, halfway across the world for less than a dollar as well. Well, that seems pretty, that should catch people's attention. And it's catching a lot of people's attention now. We'll keep going a little bit.
Listen, I'm not saying that you can be totally cancel proof with different kinds of assets in your portfolio, but I'm just saying I'm trying to make it as hard as possible. It's like, sure, they could round up all of the copies of a certain book and burn them all, I guess. If
Okay, and so people who have society's canceled them, like Conway West, Trump. Oh, I don't know who else is Kyle Rittenhouse. Well, no, they're not really seizing his assets, or the banks canceling him. Um, why wouldn't it make more sense for them to have Bitcoin? I mean, uh, if people canceled me or you tomorrow, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or whatever, all your mega monster banks, it'd be very, hey, here's your check. You can't bank with us. We're done, kind of thing. Or maybe seize it. I don't know. But if you have a Bitcoin, none of the banks are going to do anything about it. It'd have to be the government doing it, I would think. So you have protection, at least from the banks, I would think, right?
they wanted to, but it's a lot easier if your entire library is digitized on Amazon servers to just click the cancel this guy's subscription to Amazon button. It's a lot easier to cancel you in that way. So yeah, sure, having a hard copy of a book doesn't protect you 100%, but it's a lot harder to round up all the copies of the book that they want to cancel than it is to just click cancel this guy's Amazon account. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to de-digitize my life in many, many ways. So why would I try to re-digitize my life when it comes to my wealth and my finances? That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah. I mean, so first, when you get in the story of money, it's kind of funny in that, hey, first people had gold, right? And then the government took away your gold. They gave you paper, uh, and a lot of people are upset about that. What Ron Paul and Peter Schiff and Rand Paul, I'm sure, is. Uh, well, and then eventually they take away your paper, and what they do, they give you plastic, which is another downgrade. You're just downgrading over time. Take away their gold, give them paper, take away their paper, give them plastic, that credit card thing. And then with Bitcoin, what they're doing is they're taking away your plastic and they're giving you, hey, just have imaginary money now, which I think it's actually pretty funny because, hey, in a sense, it's imaginary, right? But it's actually really real as well. So we'll keep going.
I probably just don't get it. I understand. And I'm not against Bitcoin. I know some people, it's like either or. You're either for gold or for Bitcoin. You can't be both. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to put any significant wealth. Like I said, I have a little bit. I'm probably just going to, I think I might just delete it. I think I'm not delete it. Cash out. I think I might just cash out and just, cancel my wallet and all that kind of stuff. I think I'm done. I don't know. I'm not sure. You think this is the thing about this. I'm thinking this through on the video. Like there's a part of me, and this is like a weird part of me that I don't quite fully understand. It's like, well, yeah, but what if you miss out on those gains? You know what I mean? I'm like, well, what's the big deal? Like, if I miss out on the gains, I miss out on the gains. Like, I don't want to participate in this system. Let me tell you what I think. I think that digital money is a terrible idea. That's what I think. I think it's a terrible idea that will obviously be abused, that will obviously be used as a weapon. That's what I think about digital money. I think it's a horrible idea considering the kinds of government.
Well, it's so. Do I agree with that or disagree with that? I mean, total depravity is a real thing, and so people will abuse gold money, paper money, plastic money, digital money, whatever. It'll all get, because the depravity of mankind's a real thing. It's all susceptible in one way or another. Now, Bitcoin has protections that the US dollar doesn't have. Um, I mean, you could have in America, the national debt's what, 34 trillion now, and we're adding a trillion every 100 days. They're just printing, hey, just add that much more to the national debt. Well, in a very short manner of time, we won't be able to pay the interest on the national debt. And it's closer than what people think. Right now, the national debt, I believe it just passed, would it be the national defense as our second biggest line item in our budget. And then our first biggest line item would be I guess your entitlements, your social security, your just all that kind of stuff, your uh, SSI, SSA, and all that. And eventually, interest on the national debt will be number one, not number two, not but number one, and then eventually give it some more time, and it's shorter than what people think, and you have to address it because even paying the interest on the national debt is just insane. You're paying interest on 34 going on in 100 days you're paying the interest on 35 trillion, and then give it another 100 days and it'll be 36 trillion. uh and so America's kind of at the crossroads where you have to do something sooner rather than later. And our politicians, none of them are talking about cutting spending. They're all talking about more free money. Um,
That we're dealing with these days. Oh, well, it's decentralized. It's untraceable. It's on this. It's all that. Yeah, we don't even know who made Bitcoin. Like, how do we know it's decentralized? How do we know it's untraceable? Well, you can see in the code. Okay, fine. It's untraceable, but they can still cancel your electricity if they want to. I just don't like that. I don't think that's a great idea. I think there's a reason why people are not having their books only on Amazon servers anymore. People are buying actual books. There's a reason why people are doing that kind of stuff. And I think it's a very good idea to try to analog your life as much as possible, especially if you're a bit of a dissident. Like if you're planning on going along with the flow and capitulating to every little weasel tactic that the wizards dream up in their wizard spells and their meetings, then fine, you have nothing to worry about. Go ahead and digitize everything. You might as well digitize all of your life. But if you're planning on not going along with that kind of stuff, then I would think that it would be a good idea to maybe consider getting a PO box, analog. Yeah, sure, they can cancel your PO box.
and is the future more digital or less digital? I would go into the camp, hey, it's more digital. You have some folks who would say, no, there's going to be an EMP attack or a massive cyber attack or something, and just destroy the power grid, destroy infrastructure, and we'll be back in the Stone Age. We won't have a digital age coming up. I don't think so. I think the future is definitely more digital. It's going to be more Big Brother for sure. I'll just book that. But you can see the future is more digital. More people are going to digital currency. How so? The number of digital wallets would be the first thing, where a while ago, 100 million digital currency crypto wallets, and now it's just growing. And if you listen to experts talk about it, people are adopting Bitcoin or digital wallets faster than the adoption of the internet, which should make people think a bit. Because if you have a lot more people going in to Bitcoin than going out of Bitcoin, then hey, the price is going to go up, logically. And lately you've been having, since this video 2 years ago, what do you have? You have BlackRock announced their ETF, and BlackRock owns half the world. They're one of a lot of people do not like BlackRock or trust BlackRock. They own a lot of property and stuff, very sketchy group, I would say. But they're going into Bitcoin as an exchange. You have Fidelity going into Bitcoin as an exchange. And so Bitcoin, it used to be, and I remember hearing about it in college, when I was there, a dozen years ago. And the only people that had Bitcoin is it's kind of done in the back alley. There's a stigma to it. And so no one really, very few people bought Bitcoin. Wasn't very popular. It's growing. That stigma's gone. It's grown in popularity. If you follow hey, we've got kind of a reformed theology, Calvinistic group over here. Well, Bitcoin has their community, their group as well, and they have a lot of arguments for why Bitcoin's going up. The halving just happened, and after every halving, if you look at the stock graph for Bitcoin, it's like a banana. It just grows, it goes up. And so the halving just happened, and so the next 12, 18 months or so, Bitcoiners would say, just book it. Bitcoin is going to reach an all new time high here pretty soon. And how big is that all time high? we don't know until it happens, if it happens. Some say, well, it'll be 250,000, it'll be a million, it'll be whatever. Well, going from 65,000 right now, it's 65, 66,000 to 250,000. Maybe it just doubles and goes to 125 or something. Well, that's a better rate of return. That's a better place to keep your money than just as cash in a bank, because your $100,000 is turning into $50,000 sooner than you think. A dozen years, I bought a house, paid 100,000 for it or so. If I went to sell it today in Montana, in 10 years, I could probably sell for 250. I haven't done a whole lot to it. Well, that's a great investment. And, you've gained $150,000. Well, no, in reality, what has happened is the it takes $250,000 to buy the same house that 100,000 would buy, and the value of the US dollar is just radically less. And the government's essentially stolen a bunch of money from you through inflation, through just printing money. Uh, and so, if I had $100,000 10 years ago, it would be, worth, it could buy half the house that it could buy today or so. Um, but if you threw in Bitcoin over what, 10 years ago, it isn't lost value, it's gain value. It's so now, will that continue? Who knows? Bitcoin's risky for sure. But something to think about.
Box, that's true. They could. I just don't think they're. I don't think they're going to be rounding up all the copies of XY book or whatever, or they're going to be, going house to house to get your bullets or get your.
But you know what? What you should think about is how much money the government's going to be printing over the next 10 years. Do you think that they're done printing money, or that they've just begun printing money? If I had to bet, or if I had to guess, let's say that, right? The government they've just begun printing money. That'd be my guess, is there's a lot more money to come. And, if you listen to people who advocate for universal basic income, there's those who, and they'll keep a straight face when they do it. They'll say, well, um, you can have universal basic income, the government print all this kind of money, taxes will probably go up, but there won't be any inflation. And they'll say, but it'll just be the rich. The rich will pay the taxes, and there'll be new money coming in through artificial intelligence. That's how we'll pay for it. There won't be any inflation. There's people who will argue that with a straight face, right? It's so, if you gave everyone, let's see, I mean, it'll probably start out, we'll probably have universal basic income. I think it's the future. Not because I support it, I think it's dumb, but I think that hey, it's just the future. As people, as you have public education dumb down people, what happens, hey, let's print off $1 trillion of free money, we'll just give it to everyone and anyone. Well, then you get inflation, and you get, which is a tax on the poor. You get, universal health care. But because of COVID, the dumbing down of America is even faster than it used to be. One of my favorite memes just ever is, you have a kid during COVID, and you have to learn at home. It's too dangerous to go to school. Everyone will die. And so what he's doing gym class, and he's got his tablet out for gym class. He's sitting on the couch. He's doing arm circles, and he's eating Cheetos, and that's gym class for you during COVID. That's the best meme ever. But with COVID, and with the way that the education, I mean, they don't even know what a guy is nowadays, right? They're clueless. And pretty soon, eventually, the next big fight in schools is going to be, hey, these kids, they identify as cats and dogs, and so we need to put litter boxes in the schools, so they can use the bathroom. That's the next big fight in California and New York. Just book it. That'll happen here pretty soon. I guarantee it, because hey, there's kids hey, I'm a boy, but they're actually a girl, or vice versa. well, it doesn't just the insanity doesn't just stop there. It goes into, hey, I'm a cat, I'm a dog, and don't discriminate me. And I'm just living my truth, my reality, and I need litter boxes in the schools. So that's part of the future for California, New York, and maybe the Biden administration will take that up and say that's part of Title IX. Who knows? But we'll keep going a bit.
Your goal or stuff like that. I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's much when you think about tyrants and stuff like that, they just do whatever's the easiest, right? Whatever's the easiest thing, that's what they do, right? So they'll push the Amazon button, they'll do that. They'll cancel the electricity, they'll do that. They'll that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm just rambling here, but I just thought that that was funny. Yeah, that's typically the thing. You don't understand Bitcoin. That's why you don't want to buy it. Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with.
And Bitcoin is so simple and yet so complicated at the same time. Do I understand Bitcoin? No, I maybe have a grasp on the basics. I understand it more than most people. Especially Montana, where we're still, riding horses to McDonald's and stuff. Yeah, I understand it more than most Montanans. Do I understand it as much as the Bitcoin community? Oh no, definitely not. For sure not.
That I'm not the smartest guy in the world, so maybe it's true. I just don't understand why it would be a good idea to digitize your wealth. That's fine if you get it and you're gonna I hope you make a lot of money. I really do.
If you could, if Bitcoin is adopted at a rate faster than the internet and it becomes highly adopted, then yeah, it'd be a great way to transfer money. I have a friend in Burundi, and trying to get money to him it's a nightmare. You can't just the one way you could do it is Western Union. You can Western Union money. And I've done it before. And so you go to Albertsons, your grocery store. Hey, I want to send money using Western Union. And in their mind, they're thinking, hey, this is a scam. And they're probably trained to say, hey, this is a scam. Well, Western Union is going to take a giant chunk of that money too. Just book that. And it's just very hard and it's almost like you're in the Stone Age. It takes forever. It takes a long time to Western Union money over there. And there's just it's very inconvenient. And if there was mass adoption of Bitcoin, you could send it different places basically instantaneously in like maybe an hour. That time will get reduced down for sure. But it'd be a lot more convenient. And why not just bypass banks? As a Christian, what some of the most wicked institutions out there? All your banks, for sure. As a post-millennialist, do you want to put your money in a bank? And meanwhile, the bank, what are they doing? They're funding all the things that God hates, right? And so as a post-millennialist, it seems like you'd frown upon that, and you would try canceling the bank. Actually, arguably, maybe you can make the argument with Bitcoin. You can go cancel your bank now that hates God and funds all the thing that God hates. Go cancel your bank. Don't worry about the bank canceling you. Go cancel the bank, and instead of giving your money to a bank that hates God and funds all the LGBTQ nonsense, right? Instead of giving them free money for them to hold and invest and make money and profit off of you, and fund all the things that you hate, AD, go and put it in Bitcoin. Maybe gain money off it, maybe lose some money too. Who knows? It just depends on the day because it's very volatile. But that mega monster bank that opposes everything that post-millennialism stands for, you've canceled them now. That seems like a good argument, right?
I hope that it goes to $100,000. The thing is, I'm out. I think I'm out. I think I'm going to sell the small amount of Ethereum that I have.
Well, we need an update. Were you out or were you not out? It's 2 years ago. Bitcoin is probably maybe a little lower than 66,000 or whatever it's at right now. Is it 50? I don't know. It really just depended on the day because Bitcoin hit an all-time high. If you're listening, it went to like 70,000 or so, and then it crashed and burned and went down to 15,000 per coin. And then it slowly made its way up after the ETF exchanges and stuff. But over the last 2 years or so, and now it peaked at 70, and now it's just kind of going sideways. Um, 80 prefers precious metals to Bitcoin. And so, Jamie Starfish, you know what you should do is go listen to, there's a debate between Peter Schiff and I think it's Raoul Paul. And you can listen to them debate about Bitcoin. And Peter Schiff is very famous for the gold guy, right? Um, and if, well, I won't even go there, but if you listen to that debate, and I did a while ago, just kind of more neutral at that time. Hey, go convince me one way or the other. And I think there might be some profanity in that debate. But I think Raoul Paul took Peter Schiff to the woodshed and just destroyed him in that debate. And I got the sense where Peter Schiff, hey, you're kind of stuck in the past. You're gold isn't a sinking ship, right? If you have gold, can the government will seize your wealth just like that through money printing if you just throw it in your mega monster bank for 10 years. That your $100,000 is going to be worth $20,000 over time or so, or 50 or whatever, pick a number. But if you take your $100,000, you buy gold with it, it's basically going to retain its value in dollars. So, I get that argument. You put in Bitcoin, and arguably, I just think it's a better, and the prospects are better over time. You give $10 to a kid nowadays. What do they do if they're a guy? Girls are busy playing with their dolls, right? But if they're a guy, they go buy Robux with it or whatever. Robux. There we go. Tons of them do that. And it's fake, it's digital, it's worthless. They buy a digital shirt or something with it. Who knows what they buy with it? But hey, kids fall for it all the time. And because of the dumbing down of this next generation, more of that's going to happen, not less of it. And so I'm bullish on Bitcoin for sure. I'm not sure that AD prefers dollars and banks to Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, though, would you rather support your monster banks, or would you rather, use Bitcoin as a bank? Pick Bitcoin. Oh, go a little bit more.
And I think I'll be out. Yeah, and maybe I'll miss out on some gains. See, that's the thing. You got to war with that part of you that's like, well, I might get those gains. And this is what I always think about. There was a kid. No, he wasn't a kid. He was a man.
And that's going on in a lot of Bitcoiners' minds right now, because what happened? The halving. And historically, after the halving, Bitcoin will go up. I was listening to this other day. I haven't fact checked it. Go fact check me sometime. After the halving, one time it went up 95 times, so 9,500%. Which is insane. And then another time it went up, it was like 3,000%, so like 30 times. And then another time after the halving, it went up 800 and some percent, so that's 8 times. And then the halving just happened, and so your guess is as good as mine on what this next halving will do. But it's probably, in my estimation, won't go up 95 times or 30 times or even 8 times. Maybe it'll go up 2 times, 2.5 times as much. And so if you have $10,000, you could decide, hey, let's throw in the bank. And your post-millennial should hopefully cringe over that for a year or whatever. And it won't be worth $10,000 over time. It'll be worth less for sure. Book that. Or hey, let's throw in a Bitcoin. And if it 2.5 times, which is probably what I think it'll do, or just 2 times after the halving, well, then it's worth 20,000. It seems like a better place to put your money. Again, lots of risk, and I'm not a financial advisor, but yeah.
But when I was a lot younger, like 10 years ago, who told me about Bitcoin? Maybe it wasn't quite 10 years ago, but it was a while ago. Told me about Bitcoin, and I kind of liked the idea because I was at the time I was a libertarian, stuff like that. but I never bought any. I always think about that time because I probably could have gotten it for a couple bucks a coin. And man, I could be rich right now. I could be
So you listen to your Bitcoiners and they'll say, hey, we're entering this new age with Bitcoin. It used to be the wild, wild west, and you could move out to the Bitcoin fields and there'd just be gold everywhere on the floor. And all you had to do was just pick it up. Um, and that would have been the first 12 years or so many years of Bitcoin, where they're basically handing it out for free. All you had to do is reach out your hand, pick it up. Well, we're entering this new era where you kind of have to work for it. You kind of have to mine it. You have to dig for it. You have to do some blood, sweat, and tears for it. Because why? Because now you've missed the early adoption phase. A lot of people say we're still in the early adoption phase, but it's changed a bit, because you used to be able to get Bitcoin for what, a couple dollars, couple $100, a couple $1,000. Well, now it's $66,000. And um maybe, if you're Peter Schiff, you'd say, well, it's going to crash and go to zero. I listened to Peter Zeihan here a bit too, and it's Bitcoin was going down, 50, 40, 30, 20,000, 15,000. He'd say, yeah, it's going to crash and burn and go to zero. And Peter Zeihan is very brilliant, very smart, geopolitical guy who he'll talk about China. That's what he's pretty well known for. And he is bearish on China. He thinks that China is going to crash and burn, basically. I don't think so. I don't share that with Peter. And so, China has a lot of problems. Because they're one China, or one child policy, they murdered a bunch of their kids. And that's creating a ton of problems in China. And there's pollution problems and major water problems in China. And so if you're in America, you think, man, they're doing great. They've got their own problems. We we basically got rid of all of our manufacturing and sent it to China. And how did we win World War II? Arguably, probably our manufacturing uh, industry and all that. And well, China has it now, so good luck fighting them in the next war. But uh, let's we'll keep going a little bit.
filthy rich. I could be. That's true. But to me, there's got to be an easier way to make money. You know what I mean? There's got to be a way to make money that doesn't involve me. I think that Bitcoin is risky. I think that any digital currency would be very risky.
Yeah, Bitcoin is risky. Bitcoin would be the arguably, I guess I would argue, the least risky cryptocurrency. And so if you throw money in Dogecoin or the frog meme coin thing or whatever, that's insanely risky. You could lose everything. Um, you know, and when you talk to the community as well, you can 10x your money through stuff like that. Well, you can also lose everything too. Um, but Bitcoin would have the least risk, I would argue. And I think most people would even agree with it has the least risk of all the cryptocurrencies. And so, if you want to develop a skill set, there's times where we should develop new things in life. Hey, go learn how to play the guitar, go learn how to exercise and do P90X or something. Go learn how to just camping skills and how to be an outdoorsman, right? Go grow a nice beard and learn how to care for it. There's certain skills we should have in life. The future is more digital, and people should familiarize themselves with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, with digital currency. Oh, hey, what's a digital wallet anyways? How would a person store Bitcoin? How would they purchase Bitcoin? You should go and develop that skill set in your life. And it doesn't mean you have to go buy Bitcoin. Doesn't mean you have to go cash out your retirement and buy Bitcoin with that, or crazy things like that by any means. But you hear Bitcoin going mainstream, and a lot of people, or let's say some people, are putting their retirement, a portion of it now, in Bitcoin, or their life insurance now in Bitcoin. And so as time goes on, give it some time, and mainstream media is going to talk about Bitcoin more and more and more. Um, and how much do I trust Bitcoin at the end of the day? I don't know. Maybe zero. There's arguments that, well, who created Bitcoin anyways? I think AD is going to say that in this video. We don't even know who created Bitcoin. Some people would say, well, it was the CIA who's created Bitcoin. And so I like the theory, just me personally, I like the theory of, oh, hey, China's buying all this gold. Who China has been buying gold really from the Swiss, and the Swiss tracks who they sell it to. Uh, and so you can't trust China reporting how much gold they have. They've got a ton now. But you can trust the Swiss who says, yeah, we're selling it to China. China's buying it from us. Well, they're buying more and more and more gold for, well, why? You have the BRICS alliance going on, and maybe gold will become some standard behind a BRICS currency or something like that. Uh, that would be an argument that some folks would have. But how do you leapfrog over that as the US dollar is arguably dying? It's gasping. It's on its, who knows, maybe it has 10, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 50 more years. That'd be very shocking to me if the US dollar was the world reserve currency 50 years from now. Um, unless it was tied to some kind of digital currency. But you know, world reserve currencies also change over time. It changed over, what was it, World War II? I think it's what did the British use? The sterling or something? They used some other currency, and that was the world reserve currency. Um, and it changes every so often uh as well. Well, what is the next reserve currency after the death of the dollar, and how many years or decades or centuries? It'd be very shocked if it's centuries. Does the US dollar have now?
And so, there it is. I mean, I guess I could make a lot of money, but just not willing to do it. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, there's that, and I'll probably make some people mad. That's okay. If you guys like Bitcoin, I'm not against Bitcoin. It's just not for me. Maybe I'm just not smart enough. I understand. I get it. It's okay. It's totally fine if I'm not smart enough to own Bitcoin. All right. Anyway, saw this white supremacist here. I thought I'd share this with you just so that we could all just publicly shame this guy, because this is I can't think of a more white.
And so he's gonna get to what a tweet from, oh, I forgot what it was, but it's 2 years ago. And so I think we'll stop that video right there. But in the comment section, after you listen to this video a while from now, and I'm just about done. It's been about an hour talking about Bitcoin. Throw in the comments, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin? I imagine no one has Bitcoin who's watching this video, or who will comment on this video. Hey, go look it up, go research it, go listen to some podcasts on it. And I think it'd be convincing. Hey, Elon Musk owns Bitcoin. Kevin O'Leary owns Bitcoin. It's not just your crazy dark alley, very cringe people that own Bitcoin now. It's going more mainstream. You've got nations buying Bitcoin. Just go listen to a Bitcoin channel, and they'll talk about it for all day, every day, and give you a million reasons why Bitcoin is going to go up to $1 million per Bitcoin. That stuff's out there. And you have other Bitcoiners say, no, that's wrong. It's going up to $5 million per Bitcoin. And your more bearish Bitcoiners will say, no, you guys are crazy. It's going to go up to maybe $150,000 per Bitcoin. Okay, that's probably more likely, I would think. But you've El Salvador buying Bitcoin. Hong Kong is opening up an exchange very soon. It got approved earlier, and so now they're in the process of dotting all their I's, crossing all their T's, doing all the paperwork. And so there'll be a Hong Kong Bitcoin exchange, and Ethereum too. opening up very, very soon over there. And how popular will it be? I don't know, but when you have news like that, Bitcoin tends to jump up a bit, and then something will happen. Iran and Israel, something will happen there. It'll nosedive a lot and go down. It could go down. I wouldn't be shocked if it went down, 10% in a day. Um, so yeah, it's very volatile for sure. You have a guy, I guess he's called Mr. 100, which, and no one knows who it is. It could be a nation, it could be a billionaire or something who's buying 100 or 400 or whatever Bitcoin every single day. Uh, and and so stuff like that, it's pretty interesting to me, and I think that more people should be talking about it. If you listen to Michael Saylor just talk about Bitcoin, um, I find it very, very fascinating. And I know AD Robles will allude to Michael Saylor. So I think that he's listened to Michael Saylor talk about Bitcoin and probably others as well. But it's very fascinating. And you it's like learning something for the first time. It's almost like learning to ride a bike for the first time. The first couple dozen times you're just going to crash and fall on your butt. It's like learning to swim. It doesn't work too well the first time or the second time. And so the more people that you listen to talk about Bitcoin from different perspectives and everything, the more you finally start to, maybe it's like a cult though, right? Then the cult finally gets through to you. And you're like, yes, then you get brainwashed finally, and you go and you uh yeah, rich in a day, poor the next. Yeah, I'll keep our cash. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. It's so, you know, that is a probably a more responsible view to have. Um, I'm just one of those people. I think Bitcoin. I don't trust the U.S. government. I think they'll try to print themselves out of debt, if that's possible. I mean, that's their plan. uh, and that's, you hear people argue, well, that's how they're paying the national debt, is they're printing money. If they stop the money printers, they wouldn't be able to pay the interest on the national debt. That's an argument that's out there. It's kind of fascinating. Um, but I think there'll be a lot of liquidity in the market in the years to come. A lot of money printing in the years to come. And so, when you print off $100 trillion or 30 trillion or however many $1 trillion, that money is going to go somewhere. A lot of it is going to go to Bitcoin in the future. A lot of your free money will go to Bitcoin in the future. And um, Bitcoin is also a bit global in that you have nations having the conversation of what to do about Bitcoin. And some are more positive, some are more negative, as well, because it can you have to have the conversation or think through, is it going to threaten the money printers, the reserve currency? Um, and that's another thing. If you're a dispensationalist, if someone is, how does Bitcoin relate to Christians not being able to buy or sell in the Antichrist days? You're dispensationalist. The wheels should be turning here with Bitcoin in it. Does it? I don't know that. I haven't thought that far through with it. Um, in the future, with cyber, oh, what would you call it? Cyber money or cyber currency, digital currency. Um, Many would argue that the government will be able to track every digital penny that you spend on it. Um, I'm not, I haven't done my research and I haven't thought through it if they could do that with Bitcoin, if they could do that with different things. I'm just not the person to ask there. Um, but I think that the government over time, what does it try to do? It basically tries to be God. and so it wants to be omnipotent, all powerful. It wants to be omnipresent. It wants to be just everywhere, and it wants to be omniscient and know everything. Um, hey, just book that. Uh, and we already see that. I mean, with the Patriot Act and with there was just a fight in Congress over renewing what they call it, FISA warrants or whatever. Um, but that's basically them spying on people, on Americans, with no getting a warrant or anything. But we got to do it. We got to know everything about you, um, because if we don't know everything about you, then everyone's going to die. That's kind of their argument there, and the terrorists will win, kind of thing. Uh, and so, I think the future is definitely digital. There'll be maybe Bitcoin will crash and burn, but the United States will have a digital currency, in X amount of years. How many years is that? Who knows? And is it something as Christians that we should be for or against? I don't know. It's just something that is. The future is digital. Just book it. Um, you hear about a cashless society, probably from Alex Jones is probably the first one to talk about it, right? A cashless society, and you in the future, what you'll be happy and you'll own nothing, right? Well, that's because they're taking away your gold money and they're giving you paper. Then they take away your paper, give you a plastic credit card. Then they take away your plastic credit card and just give you imaginary Bitcoin money or digital currency, right? You'll be happy, you'll own nothing. That's the future. uh, but it just kind of the worst thing that we could do as Christians or just as people is to put our head in the sand and not learn um about new things and not develop new skill sets. I think I totally believe that they can track almost everything these days. My grocery store tracks my purchases from month to month. you know Part of the argument with Bitcoin is that it has a code in there, and that code cannot be corrupted, and you cannot change that code. And like the United States can't get together and say, well, we're going to go, Bitcoin is going to turn that 21 million Bitcoin into 42. United States could not do that. um it's very hard. It's basically impossible to change the Bitcoin code. There was a Bitcoin war a while ago over, and we're kind of getting in technical things, right? Hey, we should tweak the code a little bit. um and if we do it, it will make micro transactions so that people could use Bitcoin to buy a Coke or Pepsi or whatever. It'll make it a lot easier. And there was a big giant fight over it, if I understand this right, right? And in a lot of people, the majority of there's minors and then there's other folks. Um, And even though a lot of people supported it, it failed. And you basically had a split of Bitcoin, and you got Bitcoin Cash that split from Bitcoin years ago, what, 4 years ago, something like that. Um, but basically, when you talk to Bitcoiners, it's basically set in stone. It's never going to change. And no single nation can wake up and say, hey, we're going to change the way that Bitcoin operates. America couldn't do it. China couldn't do it. You can't do it. You can't corrupt the code. It's kind of like um, maybe a beehive would be a way to explain it. Say you corrupt the code for one computer. Well, that's not going to change anything because there's this constant encryption and stuff going on. We're getting into technical aspects that I don't really fully grasp or fully understand right now. But if you wanted to correct the code or the algorithm, it's like if there was a beehive. Well, you can't kill one bee. Even if you kill a beehive and corrupt a whole beehive, um, that still wouldn't do anything. You almost have to kill every single bee on the planet, which is hopeless, and um, it'll never happen in a million years. Well, if I understand it correctly, that's kind of the way it is with Bitcoin. You'd have to corrupt every file, and there's a million trillion bazillion files out there on different computers scattered through 100 plus nations, and you'd have a better chance probably of killing every bee on the planet than corrupting all the codes. Um, Again, I don't understand it a ton, but yeah. What happens to Bitcoin when the Fed replaces the dollar with a CBDC Fed coin? Again, maybe an argument out there is no, Bitcoin is going to crash and burn, and the Fed is going to create their own cryptocurrency, and they'll want to monopolize that and have control over every aspect of that. They don't have that over Bitcoin. And so they're going to cause Bitcoin somehow to crash and burn. That's an argument over there. And it's something, if you buy Bitcoin, you'd have to think about. So the algorithm here knows everything we watch. Yeah, the algorithm knows everything for sure. And with super AI, you know, there's new things that Christians have to think about that we haven't thought about very much at all. That your average Christian has spent probably minutes, if that, thinking about one is Bitcoin and digital currency, um, and the future of it. One would be, I wouldn't say AI, but maybe super AI, the future of super intelligence. You can go sometime, you should go type in what Boston Dynamics AI robot, and they are making just insane advances on, soldier robots that are artificial intelligence. And so, in the future, why not just have a robot army with artificial intelligence go and fight your wars for you? And, you don't lose any soldiers that way. And you got drones and stuff, and you probably have drones with AI, right? Um, and so, the future, again, I would argue and say, hey, the future is artificial intelligence, and really super artificial intelligence. I've got, a phone right here. This would be 5G. And so that's the fifth generation of um what a phone, whatever, server thing or whatever. Um that's fifth generation with the towers that provide the Wi-Fi or whatever for the phone. And eventually there'll be sixth generation on your phone. There'll be 6G. And the gap between 5G and 6G is so much, and the gap between each generation of your service on your phone is so much. Um, but it's also that way with artificial intelligence as well. We're coming upon a new generation of artificial intelligence, and under 5G, you could stream Netflix pretty well under 5G. Under 6G, if I understand it right, why not? And this isn't precise, right? Perhaps you could download 100 gig. Let's say the whole library of Walker, Texas Ranger, and Friends, and Seinfeld, all onto your phone in seconds. Well, that's a big gap between 4G and 6G. Um, that going from dial up. You remember dial up where you get the bum 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 that kind of noise thing, and it takes forever to get on the internet. I mean, and then just downloading a song off of Napster, or LimeWire or whatever, it could take, I remember doing it as a kid. Oh my goodness. It could take hours to download an album on your computer. Well, with 6G, if you go research it, and I'm not sure the precise time on it, but hey, you could download everything on Netflix. Let's say Netflix has a library with how many gigabytes would be on Netflix? Under 6G, you could download it all very quickly, insanely quickly. Um, that's something to think about. The world's changing, and with artificial intelligence, and when we come upon a new generation of artificial intelligence, um, you will there will be scientific discoveries that just go exponentially. You can use super AI to aid new discoveries in the medical field, in warfare, in uh, every area of life, in the financial realm, um, to make new discoveries, to aid you in making new discoveries, um, that will revolutionize everything. Um, is what I think will happen. And are we there yet? No, but we're getting there probably faster than what people would think. And the first wake up call was probably Chat GPT, right? Um, but really, I think that should do it with this chat. Um, I think Christians should have more of these kind of chats in the future because you know yeah, the world's changing and we need to we're not of this world, but we don't um, run away from the world and just bury our heads in the sand and not grow with the times and all that. So, if you have some time, go listen to some Bitcoin podcast. Michael Saylor talking about Bitcoin is very, um, put it on halftime speed. But actually, he explains it in a way that's very simple, very layman, very down to earth, very easy to understand. Um, and when you listen to folks explain the technology and explain, it gets even more explain the blockchain, and then there's other cryptocurrencies that are built on Bitcoin and stuff. That gets, uh, you know, gives me a headache. I don't understand any of it. And so, get the baby stuff down with Bitcoin and digital currencies or whatever, cryptocurrencies, and go from there. Learn, learn about Coinbase and Kraken and places where your average person can buy Bitcoin, and then, well, how is it taxed? Because if you make money uh, or lose money, on Bitcoin, well, then you have to pay taxes on it, all that kind of stuff. So, and that's just, it doesn't mean you have to go buy it. You're just growing as a person and getting more skill sets that way. So, as a guy, I'm 35 now, and there's a time in your life where you learn, oh, hey, I need to take care of my body and exercise and eat healthy. And there's a skill set there. Every day I wake up, I take collagen peptides, and well, what's that for? It is for your joints, I believe, but more your hair, skin, nails. How do you grow a nice beard? Collagen peptides, I believe. And it helps your body there. I take cod liver oil every day. Well, not every day, but almost every day, and that helps with brain health. And I got a very slow brain and stuff, and so I should probably double my dose on that. um I take apple cider vinegar every day. um Eat quite a bit of Greek yogurt and stuff, and so I try to take care of my body there. um and so that's a skill set that you learn. Just, oh, hey, Coke and donuts, they don't have any nutrition to them. They're not vitamin or nutrient dense. Oh, but hey, walnuts and almonds, Brazil nuts, I take probably 2 of those every day. You don't want to take too much, but they have some good stuff in there that you just don't get eating at McDonald's and stuff. And your body basically says thank you when you do that. And then there was a time in my life where, oh, hey, I should get in shape and exercise, right? And so you learn P90X or some workout program and learn a bit about fitness. Um, and so, and then another area in life where, oh, hey, hygiene. Let's go learn about hygiene and stuff, uh, and all that. and more guys could probably learn more about hygiene, right? Um, but I think this is another area where Christians should be leaders. Hopefully, you're leaders in the area. And so your post millennials should corner the market on, being uh, on knowing about it and just being what thought leaders or whatever on it, on being familiar with it, instead of running and hiding from it. Um, when it comes to super AI and digital currencies and stuff. So with that, hey, go again, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on Bitcoin in the comments section. And with that, I will see you in the next video.